Hello, everyone. It's me, Rizo2612's Studios, and today we are here for a director's commentary that has been long overdue. Well, it doesn't look as if it seemed long overdue, but since it's nearly the end of November, it looks as if it had to be done. Anyway, here is the director's commentary for Free For All Heroes vs. Villains War Tournament Round 6. But before we start this round, I want to start over a couple things about why is it that excuse me, why I had to put this director's commentary on hold for some time. One was because around the time I had released round 6 of Free For All Heroes vs. Villains War Tournament series back last month in October was because I was working on some Halloween projects, which unfortunately I felt like Halloween this year was kind of a disappointment to me, mainly because I originally wanted to do 3 Halloween music videos, or I don't know, at least 2 Halloween music videos or something, I don't know. But the way how I planned to do these Halloween music videos, they came immediately unprepared, especially the second Halloween music video, Hard Rock Hallelujah, because it was originally going to be the very first Halloween music video, but I had to cancel it and then had it pushed to be the second Halloween music video after the first Halloween music video, Savages, which was originally going to be the second Halloween music video of this year and all that stuff, but due to some improvements that needed to be made, and it was delayed because thanks to college, it was making things very hassle to me. Like, it was very legit a hassle for me to do. And because, one, I was finishing up my final year at college, and I had to do an assignment for a new college that I am supposed to go to, but I haven't heard anything from them yet. But I think it was probably because they're having trouble arranging when is it my first day at the new college gonna start, and And since now I got plenty of spare time, since I'm still waiting to hear from them, I'm doing the best as I can to focus on projects here and there and everything. And lately I've been doing so much stuff for Demon Art, I noticed that I needed to do a director's commentary for round 6 of, Free For Heroes vs. Villains War Tournament round 6. And this director's commentary had been long overdue ever since October, as soon as the round was released. But at least now all the Halloween projects have been sorted and out of the way, and and I highly recommend you to check them out. There are 2 Halloween music videos and 1 late Halloween special, which sadly had to come out at some point during this month. The reason was because I needed some help of voice actors from a couple of friends of mine throughout social media and all that stuff. And but anyway, back to the point. Let's start off this commentary of Free For Heroes vs. Villains War Tournament round 6. So here we go. Okay, the first fight we have is Jenny Wakeman XJ9 and Cyborg versus Hobgoblin and Shigo, made by Baron of Shadows 1684. This fight was made because I wanted to have both Hobgoblin and Shigo team up, because considering that Hobgoblin needed to form Plan B after his mission to destroy Starfire and Raven failed miserably. And so he decides to redeem himself for the billionaires of crime by teaming up with Shigo to take down Jenny and Cyborg. So and Shigo was added because I wanted to give her a bit more screen time throughout the series, because I noticed that since she just joined forces with the billionaires of crime, it would make sense as of to why she would team up with Hobgoblin. And she's sort of like an enforcer for, or like a a higher gun for Tombstone, and that was the reason why Tombstone recruited her to join forces with the billionaires of crime and all that stuff. So yeah, and I mean yeah, so and honestly I figured that it worked out pretty well for the making of this fight to happen. And plus, I wanted to have Cyborg and Jenny team up for some time, and I knew this matchup had to be made. So big props to Baron for doing a good job in this fight, and I like how he arranged the timing for when Raven and Zatanna arrives to team up with Cyborg and Jenny to defeat Hobgoblin and Shigo, which would start off with a little rematch between Raven and Shigo. So yeah, I really love that soundbite there with those two. Especially this bit here with how Raven overpowered Shigo. Pretty good choices of footage of the use of Jenny, like the choices of weapons for Jenny to use to destroy the Goblin glider there. So I would give big props to Baron of Shadows 1684 for that. Oh yeah, and I also forgot to mention as well, due to the rambling about the reasons of why this director's commentary was delayed, I forgot to mention that this round is also the round where I started off learning how to use some new editing tricks that I've taught myself how to use for future rounds, like new color filters and new croppings here and there. Starting off in this fight here on Silver Surfer versus Gravitina. This fight was made because I wanted to experiment on footage of the Buzz Lightyear Star Command characters, and Gravitina was the first villain from Buzz Lightyear Star Command that I wanted to introduce, alongside evil Buzz Lightyear, who will show up in a moment or so in the epilogue. And yeah, I mean yeah, it may not turn out perfect for Gravitina's first fight, but I knew that I wanted to introduce Gravitina for some time, because the way how I see her now, she seems alright villain, I suppose, for in Buzz Lightyear Star Command. But the way how I see her, she's kind of like the Catwoman of in Buzz Lightyear Star Command and all that. But I don't know why. But that's just my opinion about what I think of her. Plus, I wanted to give Silver Surfer some more screen time and everything, so yeah. And here we have Batman versus Black Cat. This fight was made to introduce Black Cat and give Batman a bit more to do. And also introduce Alfred Pennyworth, because I once did a poll in the Villains War Tournament community asking them what incarnation of Alfred Pennyworth would they recommend me to use, either the Batman incarnation of Alfred or Batman the Animated Series Alfred. And they voted for Batman the Animated Series Alfred, and yeah. If you were confused what happened in the fight ended with Black Cat revealing it was a trap that she lured Batman into. And that explains why all the thugs have Batman at gunpoint. So yeah. And next up, it's Simba versus Man Ape. Not a lot to say here, but although I made this fight to bring back Simba and his friends like Timon, Pumbaa, and Nala, and also their recent allies, 26 and her friends, to give him a bit more screen time. And same with Man Ape, I needed to give him a bit more screen time. So yeah, I am kind of impressed with the way how the fight turned out, like with the whole punching and jump-in attack on either Man Ape or Simba throughout that bit, with Man Ape battling against Simba, but even the music fits well nicely throughout this first half of the round. And now we move on to the interlude, starting off with another voice acting cutscene, or I should have said a brand new voice acting cutscene with Lex Luthor and Slade making new plans within the criminal underworld, and Gorhex is voicing both Lex Luthor and Slade. Originally, it was going to be 73 Windman voicing Lex Luthor, but since around that time when I was making this cutscene, he was too busy and he had his hands full around the time to try and arrange any spare time to voice Lex Luthor for me. So that explains why Gorhex ended up taking the voice roles of ended up taking the voice role of Lex Luthor and all that. So. And this little cutscene was made also to experiment on some of Lex Luthor's footage from Superman the Animated Series cartoon, because so far I recently had watched the first 3 episodes of the show, and I am planning to get back to watching more episodes of the show as soon as possible, and yeah. So overall, I am quite impressed with the outcome of the making of this cutscene here, and featuring good choices of footage of Lex Luthor from in some of his appearance in Superman the Animated Series. So yeah, here we have Gravitina being punished by Darkseid, Vanos, and Zurg for her failure to take down Silver Surfer. And here we have Buzz Lightyear and his allies recruiting Hal Jordan Green Lantern, as the team called themselves the Galactic Hero Team Squad. And here we go, back to the fights. The first fight is Yoshi versus Sleet and Dingo, made by Mauro Floydike. I asked him to make this fight for me because, one, I needed to introduce Yoshi into the series, and 2, I had planned to develop a little more of an interesting storyline that's going to occur in the future regarding on Scratch, Grounder, Coconuts, Sleet, and Dingo that you will see within the epilogue. And yeah, overall I am pretty impressed with the way how this fight was made. And yeah, so yeah, even though it kind of looks as if it was kind of tricky to make, especially because Yoshi doesn't do like a ton of fighting that much, but I guess you could just imagine that he did a tail swipe attack on Dingo there in that part when Dingo was just about to grab hold of Yoshi there or something. And Princess Sally, along with the Freedom Fighters, Princess Peach and Toad, are added in because they were needed to recruit Yoshi to Team Mario and Sonic Alliance, which would explain how Yoshi ended up becoming a official member of the Alliance. And yeah. And the fight ends with Robotnik and Bowser witnessing Yoshi joining the Team Mario and Sonic Alliance, and they ended up getting outraged by Sleet and Dingo's humiliating retreat. So, yeah. And here we have SpiderMan versus TwoFace. TwoFace was one of those few characters that I needed to introduce at some point in the series. And when I was developing this round, I knew that that this would be his chance to shine, because I noticed that that when I was watching the trailer of Free for Heroes Villains War Tournament, I noticed that I didn't introduce TwoFace yet, and so I decided to have him work for the Joker and the Green Goblin to take down Spider-Man, and then later he becomes a member of their criminal empire. And plus, this is also like Spider-Man's first fight in his symbiote suit, which is part of the alien symbiote story arc as well. So yeah. Next up is Superman vs. the Rhino, made by Baron of Shadows 1684. This fight was made because because it takes place following the events after when Batman defeated Sandman, and I had this idea of bringing in the Rhino in a similar way of how he was introduced in the Spectacular Spider-Man. And so I thought, well, yeah, I mean, it worked out nicely, but the thing is, I wasn't sure who was he going to have a fight with, and then I thought, well, maybe Superman deserves a chance to fight another supervillain after he defeated the Whirlwind back in round 4, part 3. So here he is fighting against the Rhino. Overall, I'm quite impressed with the outcome of this fight personally, like how how Rhino makes his presence known in the city, and then Superman goes in for a brutal match against the Rhino over strengths and numbers, as I would describe it. I know for a fact it's a song, Strength in Numbers. I think that's the name of a song or something, but I never actually got around to listening to it. Yeah. Overall, Baron did a really good job on making this fight look so brutal as it is, because it goes to show how tough Rhino is and all that. So yeah. And here we have Hawkgirl and Jon Stewart as Green Lantern defeating the Rhino along with Superman's help to defeat Rhino, and Rhino ends up going to jail thanks to Commissioner Gordon. And this fight also introduces Commissioner Gordon, because I thought to myself that Commissioner Gordon needs to appear from time to time throughout the storylines within the series. So yeah, it worked out alright, which I'm impressed. So here we are on the last fight of the round, The Flash versus Dr. Robotnik. Not much to say here, but although it was pretty interesting matchup choice I've made to have Robotnik and Flash battle each other out. This fight was almost a bit complicated to work on, because I only had very little of footage of Flash in Justice League Unlimited, and so I decided to use a little bit of footage of Flash in an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold to use as extra footage, but I think it worked out pretty well. Now we cut to the epilogue, where Professor Zoom forms an alliance with evil Buzz Lightyear. I wanted to have these two form an alliance because I had an idea of how Professor Zoom would betray Doctor Doom alongside the ultimate master planners of war, by stealing the technology to gain access to the multiverse and all that stuff. Starting with gaining access to the worst heroes gaining access to the worst heroes versus villains war tournament universe, which the storyline will explain more about how that happened. So yeah, you will look forward to that. And evil Buzz Lightyear has a very interesting, sinister laugh. Meanwhile, the Green Goblin, along with the Joker, the Riddler, and the rest of their allies, Mr. Freeze, Shocker, Penguin, Kraven, Killer Croc, Bane, and TwoFace, are plotting more war plans within the criminal underworld. And the Green Goblin reveals to his allies their newest recruits, such as Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. I've been meaning to introduce both Harley and Ivy for some time, and I think it turned out pretty well indeed. And yeah, I was originally gonna use the Batman's take on Harley Quinn for to be the first or main incarnation of Harley Quinn for this series, but that version of Harley Quinn doesn't have a lot of appearances in the Batman as I wish it did. But overall, I did choose Batman the Animated Series take on Harley instead. And meanwhile, Buzz Lightyear and the rest of his allies discuss how to deal with Darkseid and Thanos' plans for world domination. And meanwhile, Jonah Hex warns the high dangers of Ratcliffe's forces to Pocahontas and John Smith. Meanwhile, in I think it's called the Big House? Yeah. Sorry, it's just that I forgot the name of the prison. I think it is the Big House. Anyway, in the Big House, Sandman and Rhino, Dean Amy, Duff Killigan, and even Whirlwind are now discussing a jailbreak plan along with Whirlwind's boss, Steven Metrogora. And Silvermane recruits the Scorpion. It goes to show that the Scorpion is still around, so he's going to be working for Silvermane. And meanwhile, the Rogues, Captain Boomerang, Weather Wizard, Captain Cold, Mirror Master, and Heatwave are committing a lot of crime sprees, but are unaware that a certain member of the Teen Titans has been watching. Sleet and Dingo gets punished by Robotnik and Bowser for their humiliating retreat for in their mission to capture Yoshi. But this does not go unnoticed by Scratch, Grounder, and Coconut, who tease them for their failure. And this is the start of the rivalry of these five. And however, this interests Snively and Metal Sonic, who had been witnessing the whole rivalry's beginning. Meanwhile, at Titan's Tower, Cyborg and Jenny inform Robin, Kim Possible, and the others about Shigo and Hobgoblin's attack. And and then Beast Boy, who turns out to be the one who was watching the Rogues' crime spree, informs them about the Rogues' latest crime spree. And so the Teen Titans, along with Kim Possible and Jenny, decide that they should focus on the Rogues for a little while until they decide to take down the billionaires of crime. So, yep. Meanwhile, we get the introduction to Alistair Smythe, and Alistair Smythe gets recruited by Kingpin and Tombstone to be an engineer working for the billionaires of crime to develop some weapons to help them destroy the Teen Titans along with their allies. I noticed that I hadn't introduced Alistair Smythe yet in the series when I introduced Kingpin, so I had to bring in Smythe into the series. Meanwhile, at King Stephan's castle, the Royal Council are discussing about their war plans up until Princess Celestia returns from meeting up with Team Mario and Sonic Alliance. And the Sultan introduces the Royal Council to their newest allies, Sir Kay and Sir Ecker, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Sorry. Anyway, and they even warned them about the high dangers of the Black Cauldron, and King Acorn suggests to Princess Celestia that they should have the Black Cauldron with them within the within the council to prevent the evil forces from gaining control of the Black Cauldron. So yeah, that was my director's commentary on round 6 of Free for Heroes vs. Villains World Tournament. And sorry if I started a little bit, I don't think a little bit, but a lot, I would say, because it was the beginning of the day for me, and I needed to get this director's commentary done and sorted because it was long overdue and everything. So yeah, I apologize if this director's commentary didn't turn out that great as the last one in round 5. So yeah, but anyway, this is Rizo2612's Studios, and have an awesome day.